Welcome back to the Check Swing Podcast. It's Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, so you already know what that means. It's time. Oh, you can't hear me?
A little bit. You're really, really low, or at least on my end.
How about now?
Hey, there you go.
Well, let me do this again. Welcome back to the Check Swing Podcast. It is 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night, so you know what that means. It's time for me and my man, Coach Santa, to tackle some sports topics that are going on. Of course, we have we have the beginning of the baseball season coming up very soon. It's approaching us. And all of our Phillies fans out there, you know that we have a couple signings to talk about and to ask you about and ask you your opinions on that. Um,
And Coach, we got something hot off the presses.
yes, we do. We do have something hot off the presses. You talking about that Tampa Bay move, right?
Yep.
Yes, we do have something to talk about hot off the presses. We'll start with that in just a minute. Actually, We'll definitely talk about that. And of course, we're going to be talking about a lot of things dealing with the NFL, and because NFL is just making some moves all over the place. There's some rule changes that they did and all like that. And we're going to discuss them and ask what you see how you feel about them. But for right now, sit back, relax. Oh, excuse me. Sit back, relax, and join us because we are ready to have some fun. But as you already know, let me get the formalities out of the way. Miguel, how you been, brother?
Been well, sir. This has been kind of a roller coaster. I think I mentioned to you a couple weeks ago. We putting a bid on the house. We're going through the closing process, and anybody that's ever purchased a house knows that sometimes closing can be a little sketchy at first. I can't. It's one of those things I can't really discuss until the contract's official. But we got a lot of legalities out of the way, I will say,
Okay.
and we're scheduled to close hopefully, prayerfully on Monday, and we'll have the keys to the new digs in Northeast Baltimore.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great, man. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, sir.
Early congratulations because it's already in the works. I already know it. So early congratulations on that. And I hope y'all have my palette ready.
Not a problem.
All I need is a palette. I'm good. I don't even need fancy digs. Just give me a palette. Just give me a palette. Take the cushions off the couch, put a sheet over it, and give me a blanket. I'm good.
Hey, we got you, man. Listen, we're close. So I'm learning some of the hot spots or some of like the local eateries and stuff, and we found out there's a hip hop chicken in the area, and from everybody that I met, and these three people don't even know each other, they all said the same thing. They said the crack spice that they put on top of the chicken is something to kill.
Spice.
So it's this seasoning that apparently they put. It look, they say it looks like crack,
Oh,
but right. But it tastes
like
fantastic,
Popeye's magic dust or something like that.
something like that. But
Something like that. You know, the
but
magic dust. If you've never gone to Popeyes and gotten the magic dust, it's not something that's on the menu. It's actually something that you have to ask for specifically.
I've never heard of the magic dust.
I think that's what it's called. I think it's magic dust, but I'm not really sure. Popeyes doesn't pay any bills over here, so I can't give them but so much time. But what I will give some time to is the NFL. We got some NFL things to talk about, and as Miguel had mentioned, we have some breaking news coming into the podcast. Just 5 minutes before we got started with the podcast, we got the call from R. Dot, and he said, "Breaking news: Bruce Arians is out as Tampa Bay head coach and maybe making a move to the front office." And I forgot his name that fast. I didn't write it down. What's the coach's name?
Todd Bowles.
Bowles. Thank you very much. Todd Bowles is in, and R. Dot seems to think. Well, he says he's willing to bet that means Antonio Brown will be back in a Buccaneers uniform.
Uh,
But that's what he's feeling. He could be right.
I don't know that Todd Bowles wants to touch that.
He may not. He's a no nonsense type of guy himself.
No, this is Tom Brady's team. I don't know if he wants to touch that, but
I wouldn't be surprised if Tom did want to touch it. Like Tom seems to like AB.
yeah, I mean, he did kind of, press to have him on the team and whatnot. So, at the end of the day, winning kind of solves everything. So I guess we'll see. But one of the things that like a lot of people were commenting on, like Bruce Arians posted like a 5-page synopsis between his career and what he wanted to do, what he accomplished, and even dedicated a segment to wanting to walk away and ensuring that Todd Bowles would have the best opportunities to succeed. So kind of like laying the groundwork for him and making sure that he's in a situation where he can be just as successful as he was. So,
Yeah, really a good situation. Part of me wonders, is that why Tom Brady came back to help Todd Bowles and help establish Todd Bowles? Because we know Todd Bowles has been a head coach in the league before. I believe it was with the New York
with the
Jets.
Jets, yeah.
Yeah, he did well at for like a half a season, and then they turned back into the Jets.
And the Jets, yeah.
And right now, I mean, I'm thinking about the move, right? And Bruce Arians, I mean, with Tom Brady coming back, Bruce Arians stepping down, Todd Bowles being a defensive-minded coach probably doesn't have to do too much work on the offensive side.
Well, and people forget, Bill Belichick is a defensive coach. He was a defensive coordinator, I believe. He was a defensive coordinator for all the Giants Super Bowl teams in the '90s. Defensive coordinator for the Browns, and then remember he was the head coach for the Jets for what, 2 days, and then he did the press conference and then wrote down like, "I'm out."
Yeah, and then that's when Bill Belichick took over, right?
No, Bill Belichick did that. He was the head coach.
I mean, that's when Bill Parcells took over.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting my bills confused. But yeah, it's just an interesting move for Tampa Bay. You know, much power to good luck and all that good stuff to Todd Bowles, except for when we play the Eagles. And I hope he's successful, except for when they play the Eagles.
Exactly.
Same. With that being said, let's talk about the Eagles a little bit. The Eagles, as you have brought to my attention, I think is very interesting. Let me. I want to pull this up. The Eagles, and a lot of people are actually going to be interested in this. And the funny thing about it is, I saw a post about some Eagles news, and it just had like a picture of Randall Cunningham, and I'm like, I know Randall's not coming back, so what could it be? And for those that don't know, this is what he is. You're looking at that, right? And you're like, okay, what is that? But the Eagles fans, it's a big deal. It is the return of the Kelly Green uniforms in 2023. Very interesting. You're clapping your hands, Miguel. Looks like you like it. Is it just going to be an alternative jersey, or is it going to be the main jersey?
So remember the Eagles did this like what, 10, 15 years ago. It's like every year like they would come out with alternative jerseys. Like they had the baby blue or the bright yellow and the baby blues
That they
from when they were the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. And but the issue all this time was that allegedly the NFL couldn't do multiple helmets for safety reasons. And then somebody was like, or quite a few people had wrote, well, you're a $2 billion industry. You tell me you can't afford extra helmets. They do it in baseball. They do it in, sports that require helmets. So Jeffrey Lurie kept holding off because we could have been in the Kelly Green jerseys, but they weren't matching up to the helmets. So you would keep the same helmet, and the dark green doesn't mesh well with Kelly Green. So he pushed, he prodded. Now they're actually coming out with a black helmet when the Eagles wear their black jersey in 2022. The reason why they didn't do the Kelly Greens this season is because the jerseys are made by Nike and they don't have that particular color available yet. So they have to go through like the palette test and make sure that it matches up to the Kelly Green that the Eagles truly want. And that's why it takes roughly like 6 months to match it. and then they'll introduce that jersey for next year. And
So
he's
go ahead.
even pushing for teams to have 3 helmets. So he wants to have the midnight green, the black jerseys for when they do the blackout, or the black helmet for the blackout jerseys, and the Kelly greens.
So this is interesting to me, and I'll tell you. Well, first, let me ask you this before I get into this. And I apologize if I'm like my words are slurring a little bit. I think I bit my tongue, and I got like a bit my tongue earlier a couple days ago, and it's like my tongue keeps getting in the way of my teeth. If
Did you
that
say
makes
live TV? That's live TV.
sense. The picture that you have there of Jalen Hurts wearing the uniform, is that just a mock up per se? That they didn't wear. Jalen Hurts hasn't worn that, right?
Never worn that. No, it's just a mock up.
So it looks good.
If they can find that particular color palette in their color swatch, but yeah.
It doesn't look as good, honestly. Let me be honest with you. It doesn't look as good in the older photos that you have there. With
Well,
Randall
keep in mind the material's different. Like the ones that Randall they were like the perforated. They were the whole jersey with the holes in them.
Yep, absolutely. The color looks a little brighter and all like that. Looks good. Looks good in the sun. Right. I don't know how good they're looking at, but anyway, let me go to the helmet thing about the 3 helmets or whatever. And I know this doesn't matter, but hear me out. In Madden, a lot of times I wear the Kelly green jerseys with the midnight green helmets, and it looks good.
Right,
it looks good. I like it. I mean, I know it's on the video game, but
I even sometimes, instead of using the silver pants, I'll actually use the black pants.
Right? Yeah, me too.
That looks sharp. Yep.
It looked me too. But with that being said, I'm not particularly buying that different helmet, the NFL different helmets thing. I'm not buying that from them because we've seen teams wear different helmets during the year. We've seen the Washington, whatever they were at the time, wear different helmets during the year.
What it was, because I noticed it with the Rams, for instance. They said you can change the decals if you have them, but you couldn't have another full helmet, a completely different color.
Helmets just with a different decal on it.
Right. So like they've had the base blue, but they would get like the white horn and take the decal off and swap it out with the yellow horn. So that's how they kind of got around it. But you're talking with the Eagles, you're talking about 3 different completely different colors. Kelly green, midnight green. I don't
understand why they wouldn't be able to get 3 different helmets.
And that's what everybody's been complaining about for the last, and Jeffrey Lurie was the one that kind of led the charge in that. So nobody else could understand, wow, you guys made 2.5 billion, 3.5 billion, and 2.5 billion. It's like, I'm sure you can front for a couple helmets.
Yeah, that's probably true. Now, let me ask you this, because I've always wondered why Eagles fans have an infatuation with the Kelly green uniforms. When they came out with the midnight greens, people loved them. And they loved them for a long time. And then all of a sudden, one day they was like, I want to see the Kelly greens again. And we did see the Kelly greens back in the Mike Vick era. Matter of fact, I believe Kevin Cobb's first game was in the Kelly greens, and he got hurt.
Yep.
So we did see him in that era. Now, why does Philly push so like? A majority of Eagles fans that want the change want it to be the permanent change. They say they don't like the midnight greens, which I don't understand why they don't like. I love the midnight green. I think they're awesome. I think they look great.
You know what it is? It's like you see the eagle on the head. Like it's like a, if you compare the eagle wing on the old helmets versus the new helmets, the new one looks a little cartoonish. But like that one, it's like almost the authentic wing, like, spread. It's more like sharp. It just looks stronger, I guess you could say, if that makes sense. But I think the attachment to it is because, like, you look at Randall and you look at Reggie White and you look at like Bill Berge, Wilbur Montgomery, Harold Carmichael. It brings everybody back to a time when the Eagles would have like these spurts when they were so bad for so long, and then they would have like those special teams, like the Dick Vermeil teams.
So let me
Um,
ask you this. Let me stop you right there.
mhm.
Why do you want to be reminded of the years that we didn't win it? We've
I see.
only won it in the Midnight Greens. Why do people want to go back to that era? We called it such a great era, but we came away with nothing.
Right.
Why are people so impassioned to go back to that?
Again, growing up, like for me, I was brought up on the fact that we were a defensive town. We wanted to slam Aikman in the turf, and we did. So I think it's just, you know, Eagles played a lot of great games in history, but we always, like you said, kind of came up short. Like you had the body bag game, you have the Bounty Bowl, the Fog Bowl, which we actually wound up losing. But there's a lot of games in history. It's like those moments that were like, wow, that was a great moment. And I think people, even though we won the Super Bowl with the new jerseys, I think it's just kind of like that soft memory. I think the key moment is when Jerome Brown died. Because when Jerome Brown died, it was like that kind of hurt. So I think a lot of it has to do with like maybe, you know, honoring our fallen that have come up short, like Reggie White. There's a lot of Reggie White jerseys out there, a lot of Jerome Brown jerseys. So I think a lot of it has to do with that. But I think during that time we kind of developed our personality, because again, you go to Buddy Ryan, never won in the playoffs, but the first thing he said when he became the Eagles head coach was, who the hell are the Cowboys? We always beat them anyway. So it was like he knew how to kind of play that,
Buddy always
play up to that.
to the crowd. He knew where he was.
He knew where he was. Right.
He knew where he was, and this town loves Buddy, and Buddy didn't accomplish anything.
And I read another story in regards to the jerseys. When comparing it to the Phillies jerseys, there was actually some people saying that the Phillies should change their jerseys, because even though again we won our second World Series and went to a fourth with the current jerseys, we've had those jerseys for the majority of the franchise, but it's like the 70s 80s P that a lot of people are like that was like the best,
That's
the best
what you
jersey.
associate with. Yeah,
Yeah.
watching games on the Phillies games used to come on Prism.
They came on Prism in the 80s when Prism came out. Yep.
But watching Phillies games on Prism, I remember the I forgot what they called it. Today they call it a graphic, full screen graphic, Chiron. Some people call it a Chiron graphic. But the interstitial of the Phillies P and whoever they were playing, like the Pirates, and it would be like on
Right.
the screen. And today, if you see it, it's like it looks like the old graphic, but that I just those memories. But like I don't mind. I personally don't mind the Kelly Green. I like the Kelly Green. I wouldn't mind seeing it. Maybe 4 times a season, maybe 5.
You know what I would do? I would actually make it like, if the NFL can market this, they're probably going to steal this if I give this out. But why not make it a division rival jersey? Like where the throwbacks when you have your division games.
Not a bad idea.
You know what I mean? Just because you kind of bring attention to it, like the Eagles with the black jerseys, they went all black like starting like 5 or 6 years ago, and all of a sudden they always did it against the Giants when they played them on 39. They would always kick their butts. So
It's very interesting. And they don't, they don't go all green anymore after I think they got whooped by the Niners on a Thursday
they
night.
got work. That was the road flare game. Somebody shot a road flare like across the. It was it was a glimpse of it, but somebody like shot it from like the 300 level at the vet, and it landed like third base side. You saw like this red thing go down, and
I don't remember that. Wow. I don't remember that. Wow, that's crazy. Somebody
I think that was the same season that Rodney Peete dropped back to pass and tore his ACL and nobody touched him.
Rodney Peete played in the Midnight Greens?
Yeah. His remember the Detroit Lions playoff
Midnight
game?
Greens came in with Ray Rhodes, huh?
Yeah, that was 95.
Wow,
No. He played with both jerseys. He played the last year that the Eagles had the Kelly Green, and then he was there for I think 3 seasons. I think it was 96 or 97. He tore his ACL, and that's when you had Ty Detmer come in. Actually, it was Bobby Hoying. He had like the greatest 7 games of the history, and
People
then
always say that, and I literally do not remember not one game Bobby Hoying played. Not one.
I remember he beat at the vet Boomer Esiason 45-44 in like overtime.
Mm.
That was the game that was the game that was like, oh my god, he's the next one. And I think like the first 3 games in the next season he threw like 12 interceptions. So he wasn't it.
That's good memory by you. Yeah, Bobby Hoying was like our number, not a number one pick, but he was like one of our first round picks. And yeah, he was pretty bad. All right, so the ultimate troll has chimed in. He says, "Keep the Kelly Green in the vault. These new Eagles fans aren't worthy." The new Eagles fans. I call him the ultimate troll because he's trolling the new Eagles fans. Maybe the new Eagles fans aren't worthy of it because, like, if you're a new Eagles fan,
You
you
mean
weren't.
those
If you're a new Eagles fan, you weren't around for the Kelly Greens.
right? Yeah, you didn't you didn't have our pain. It's like being the pain of like a Phillies fan growing up. Like you were here for Ryan Howard and Chase Utley, but you weren't here for like Steve Jeltz and Rod Booker and Carmelo Martinez.
Wow.
You don't know our pain.
Wow, Steve Jeltz. Oh, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of like a bad player that, like a
Raul,
Tommy.
Tommy Green was good, and remember he had a no hitter,
Yeah, he was good, but he played at the time when the Phillies were just awful.
and he was always injured.
Big Tommy Green, and who was the pitcher we had? Not Mitch Williams. I think it might have been Tommy Green that threw the ball like into the crowd off the mound. Like it came out his hand like wild and wacky and went off into the crowd somewhere.
No, that was Mitch Williams.
No, he did it too, but there was another pitcher that did it. That's what I said. Not Mitch Williams. I know Mitch Williams definitely did it.
Pat Combs did it because he had a really weird. He had like a shot put, kind of like he curled his arm and like shot put it over the plate. Pat Combs did it. He also got his butt. He also got his butt whooped by Dale Murphy in a fight.
Dale Murphy.
Oh, you know who else? Roger McDowell. He was a closer for the Phillies.
Wow.
Because Roger McDowell and Lenny Dykstra were traded from the Mets to the Phillies for Juan Samuel, and I forget the other person.
What? That's why I used to walk around the house saying that all the time.
Historical moment. My 5th grade teacher actually dated Juan Samuel.
Really?
And he bought her a convertible and picked her up one time from my school. It was like Jerry Kill Juice everywhere. And I was like, "Can I have your autograph?" And he just her name was Miss Newland or something. And she was like, "All right, bye class." And we're like, "You know what, Samuel, can I have an autograph?" And she just walked right in and just like she didn't even know us.
Was your teacher cute?
She was older.
I guess in 5th grade you just see her as an older lady, huh?
Yeah, they were. I mean, anybody that was older than like 13 was old, you know.
Right, but Juan Samuel was what, in his 20s?
Yeah,
So
it was weird because our teacher was older, so it was like I don't know if he needed a sugar mama. I don't know if things weren't going well financially.
Do you think she was older than him?
She looked older than him. I mean, I'm going by assumptions.
It was Juan Samuel. You were like, "It's Juan Samuel. He's awesome. What are you doing with her, lady?"
But I got mad because you're stupid when you're that age, and then he was traded a year later, so I blame my teacher for him getting traded.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Once again, if you have an opinion on anything that we're talking about today, of course, you can shoot us a message right there in the chat, or what you can do is, let me take that on out of there. You can give us a call at 669-275-0323. That's 669-275-0323. Now, we kind of got into the we started talking about the Phillies, but really we were talking about the uniforms and the Eagles uniforms and how they were they're going to bring back the Kelly Greens in 2023. They're going to have all blacks in 2022 this upcoming season, which I'm very interested. I hope it's like a black helmet with like either the silver or like a green wing.
So imagine yeah, I think that's the debate. I think right now the rumor is it's the black jersey. It'll be the white wing, but the like the little shadows underneath that'll be green.
Okay, okay,
But
that
it's rumor right now, conjecture. So
can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. I like stuff like that. That's kind of my
and
little
and and
sports
R
nut.
dot posted in the chat that the
Yeah, we're
Philly.
gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that in a minute.
Okay,
'Cause we're not going there, but we will get there in just a second. But before we get there, I do want to talk about Malcolm Jenkins announced his retirement today.
yes, sir.
Malcolm Jenkins playing 13 years in the NFL for the Saints and then for the Eagles and then back with the Saints. Won two Super Bowls, one with the Saints, one with the Eagles. And he says he's going to call it a career. How will you remember Malcolm Jenkins?
I will always remember him being mic'd up in the Super Bowl and him directing his defensive backs to cover for the Hail Mary, and they all blew their assignments and almost blew the game. That's what I.
Wow, I
But
never heard that.
so if there's a video out there that is it's I think it's called NFL mic'd up. There's no commentary. It's just all the players and the announcers, but they're like mic'd up in situations. And I think he tapped like Darby and McLeod, and he was like, "Listen, go back, don't give them the lanes." And I think not only did they miss their assignments, but I think a couple of them fell and then had to kind of recover, go back in the end zone. That's why Gronk almost caught it at the end, you know. But you actually hear him give them direction and hit, and they blow the assignment. But I think Malcolm, for some reason, Malcolm Jenkins always reminds me of the situation with Dawkins. We let go Dawkins, but we never replaced him.
True.
You know what I mean? I think the Eagles let him go, and I think Andy Reid even said it was the worst decision that he ever made. He let him go, and granted, he was losing this. B Doc was losing the step, but Jimmy Johnson at the time, defensive coordinator, you know, knew how to utilize him. He could have put him as like a pseudo linebacker or stuff like that.
Well,
Um,
Dawkins was gone. I mean, Jimmy Johnson died by the time Dawkins was gone, correct? Didn't
um,
Dawkins play under McDermott for a little bit?
you know what? You're right. You're right. I think that last season or two he played under McDermott, which is probably why they got rid of Dawkins.
I'll be honest with you. I say it all the time, man. Phillies, Eagles defense have not been the same since Jim Johnson. Like we were spoiled by the Buddy Ryan era and then the Jim Johnson era.
And you know what's sad about it? The worst defense in Super Bowl history won the Super Bowl.
What this year?
No, no, I'm talking about the Eagles defense.
Oh! I'm about to say, wait a minute.
My bad, my bad. And
the that was hold on, wait a minute. Say that. Give me that statement again. The worst.
so let me say it correctly. The Eagles gave up the most passing yards,
Oh yeah.
in the history of the Super Bowl. I think Brady went off like almost 500 yards or whatever, and yet they still won. Which is like anti Philly.
Tom Brady did catch that. I mean, look, it's Tom Brady. He's going to get his yard. Let's be honest. Let's keep it a buck. That Eagles defense really wasn't that good. It just wasn't. They had a good front four.
Mm-hmm.
They had mediocre defensive backs. Mediocre. They were not
great. They were great in the playoffs, and I look back on like some of the like clips from the NFC Championship game against the Vikings and the
Yeah,
game
I mean,
against
everything fell into place when they had to fall into place. There was a lightning in a bottle team,
right.
and I kind of said at the time, I was like, we kind of caught lightning about everything clicked at the right time for us, and it was just meant for that to happen that year. But we've had way better defenses fall short.
Right.
Way better defenses fall short.
Do you think if Carson Wentz was healthy, we would have made it to that Super Bowl? And if we did, would he have won the Super Bowl?
I have to believe that. I have to believe that because I mean that year Carson Wentz was playing amazing.
Yeah.
He's playing out of his mind. I mean, he would have probably won the MVP had he not gotten hurt. And I'm not sure that he shouldn't have still won the MVP that year. You know, you give. I think Tom Brady won it that year, if I'm not mistaken. I think Tom Brady won it. Which, I mean, what year could you not have given Tom Brady the MVP?
Right.
But Carson Wentz, like his numbers were ridiculous up until the point where he got hurt. He only threw with 3 interceptions
Mhm.
that season. Some of the
Broke
passes that he was making were just ridiculous. He was
insane. Yeah.
putting up yards. He was putting up numbers like crazy.
Which is why once he got injured, I think that's been it.
Yeah, I think that injury just kind of messed everything up for him.
Yeah.
I think it just messed everything up for him because it kind of took. I don't know if he shies away from moving around with the ball, but he gets caught up a lot um he gets caught up a lot in the pocket.
Right.
Whereas when he was in Philly that Super Bowl year, he was getting out of the pocket making plays. But speaking of Carson Wentz, there he is. Some interesting comments came out. Hold on. So I got to put this up here because our resident Colt fan, our dot, at least for one more year, says this: Tom Brady has never been better than Peyton Manning. I mean,
uh
look. I know that our dot is a Colts fan. I am not even going to put out a blanket statement, and I'm not even going to put out a blanket statement and say yes, he was, because I feel like I'll be walking right into something because I'll say no, he wasn't, and R. Dot will come back with some statistics that'll tell me that Peyton Manning was better than him. But we know Tom Brady has better results than Peyton Manning in almost every season but two. That's all I'll say about that. He also goes on to say Commander Carson dressed up in the hot dog outfit. But why are we showing Carson Wentz and talk about Carson Wentz? Because some interesting comments came out of the Colts camp. Just yesterday?
it was about a day or two ago. Yeah.
Colts owner blasts Carson Wentz. He says his name is Jim Irsay. He says, I think the worst thing you can do is have a mistake and try to keep living with it going forward. He goes on to say, for us, it was something we had to move away from as a franchise. Of course, he's talking about trading Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders. It was very obvious. You can't always persuade people to do things differently if they don't want to do them differently. That's owner of the Colts, Jim Irsay, saying that. That's him saying that. Think about that. You never really hear owners speak poorly of an outgoing player. The Eagles really didn't speak poorly of him. I mean, there were some things that came out, but it didn't come from ownership.
Right.
This is coming from ownership, which cuts a little deeper, in my opinion, because these are the people that basically paid your check and basically made the decision that you no longer are welcome here. Were Ursay's comments out of bounds, Miguel, or was it um could it be a new normal?
Yeah. You don't usually hear owners speaking out. I don't know that it's a new norm, but it I think it speaks to the reputation that Carson seems to be developing because a couple weeks ago there's a story that came out about during the Super Bowl run how Carson Wentz kind of moped and he was actually upset that the Eagles were winning without him, and allegedly there was an altercation to him and Darren Sproles, but Darren Sproles set the record straight. He just said, I just told him, like, we're a family and we do things together. and apparently he said it loud enough that the whole house heard it, and then that was the end of the conversation. So, you know, credited to immaturity, and there was some rumor, some racial tension, which might be a little over the top, but but for an owner to come out and blast a player, I don't know if it's a good look. That may not help potential free agents that want to come out for an outlandish owner. you know Washington's not in a great situation themselves with their owner, because he may actually be ousted in a few years. But
I mean, well, we really feel like Carson Wentz is probably just a stopgap quarterback.
yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if Washington drafts a quarterback this year. I don't know if they're in the market for him, but there's a Malik Willis, the quarterback out of Liberty.
Hmm.
Could be looking at him. He's a dynamic quarterback, can make plays with his legs. Had a great year at Liberty. People say, "Well, it's Liberty." Well, yeah, it is Liberty, but it's football. I mean, Carson Wentz came out of South Dakota State or something like that. So,
Right.
and he had an MVP caliber season. Um, our resident Colts fan, our dot, he says Frank Reich also said we have no seller's remorse when talking about trading Carson Wentz. The entire organization was taking shots at Carson Wentz, and I do remember at the end of the season, I think Frank Reich even apologized to Jim Irsay for bringing Carson Wentz in there because they gave up a lot for him.
They did.
They gave up a lot for him. They basically cleaned the slate for the Eagles.
Yeah. And
And now I believe Washington is cleaning the slate for the Colts. Maybe, yeah, I think so.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
they guaranteed the rest of his contract. Like, who does that?
yeah, yeah.
But,
Um, with all that being said, Taylor Heineke obviously is not the end. They don't see Tyler Heineke as the answer in Washington. So they bought in Carson Wentz. Yet another sloppy seconds from the Eagles. They also traded for Donovan McNabb at one point too, and we all know
so
how that went.
so does this solidify? Does this end the criticism of Howie Roseman? Because he's been getting dogged since the Super Bowl because of some of the moves that he's made. Um,
No, there people are still. I think Howie Roseman to kill all the criticism is going to have to make moves that really excuse me, that really how do I want to say it? Have a positive effect on the team fast or early. I don't know how you want to word it. Because we know his drafting has not been great, especially in the first round. Case in point, I don't know if it was the first round, but one of our first receivers that we picked a couple years back, Jalen Rager,
mhm.
you know how well he's been doing, and we know who he was picked in front of, and
and,
how well they've been doing.
and then JJ Artega Whiteside.
JJ Arcega-Whiteside, which I'll admit I thought was good coming out of college. I really did. I saw a lot of Stanford games, and JJ Arcega-Whiteside, he was killing it. He was killing. He was going up, getting the ball, going up, getting the ball at the top of it. I mean, he was 50-50 ball. He was doing his thing, and all of a sudden got to the pros and forgot how to catch. I don't get it.
Forgot how to run. He's never open.
Yeah, that too. That too. I mean, I can go down the line. There was the lineman that they picked a few years back. I think his last name was, I can't even remember what his first name was right now.
Danny
Devontae probably one of the best picks that they made early on in the draft because he was a
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Right. I mean, it was kind of like the obvious pick, but Roseman, I think, threw Doug under the bus because he said that the Rager pick was actually Peterson's pick.
Oh, really?
But
Didn't know
I
that.
don't know. I don't know that Doug. I don't know that Peterson ever addressed it, which kind of leads me to believe that it was his pick. So
Maybe it was, and maybe we'll see Rager in Jacksonville because Peterson has got a lot of his Eagle staff and some players down there in Jacksonville now. So he's kind of getting Eagle South.
Rager needs to go to Broad and Olney and collect SEPTA fares. That's what he needs to do.
So wait, say that again.
I said Rager and Whiteside they need to go down to Broad and Olney and collect fares on the subway.
Well, oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm bumping into the mic. I'm struggling today. I'm tired. I'm sleepy today. It's been a long week. It's been a long week. I had our first game yesterday. Struggling to keep my voice together. We got a game tomorrow, game Friday. It's been a long week. Um, do is there any fear of Carson Wentz in Washington? Is there any
No, none. Absolutely none.
Carson Wentz's career started taking a downturn in the second half of his first game against Washington after his injuries. No, I'm sorry. The year after, 2 years after the Super Bowl, so 2019.
Mhm.
Because remember that first half he lit it up,
Mhm.
and second half he got lit up and has never been the same.
Well, remember, so when he came back, which he came back too soon. He came back. What was that week? It was like 5 or 6 against Pittsburgh at home. Um, but they kept touting, "Oh my God, he's ahead of schedule. He's remarkably recovering." And da 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 da. It's like Tom Brady when he tore his ACL, he took the full 12, 15 months, and then came back, and it was all about muscle memory and develop. Like Carson Wentz came back, I think at 9 months. He came back too soon, and then because
He wanted to go ahead. Go ahead.
right, no, because then right, he wanted to solidify his spot as the starting quarterback, but when you have an injury like that, the first thing that they usually report is that it messes with your mechanics because you have the brace and all that. So you got to learn how to throw with this brace. And I think it caused more stress on his body because then remember he had the broken back. He broke his back like
My back.
exactly.
Sorry, I hear broken back. I just think of that little sound bite with Mike Tyson every time. I broke my back. Mike, what do you mean you broke my back? Is it vertebrae? Is it spinal? That's one of my favorite sound bites right there.
I love it.
It's right there. I broke my back.
Mhm.
Um, let's move on. This show is moving fast. let's did I let me make sure I didn't miss anything as far as that. Oh, the rule changes.
Yep.
The overtime rule changes in the NFL.
Yep.
Now new OT rules. Both teams get a possession in overtime, but only in the playoffs. So, all right. I'm okay with the rule change, right? But why do they always want to make the overtime rules different for the playoffs than for the regular season? Because when they changed the rule before, it was like this, but only in the playoffs. When they first did the rule change for the playoffs,
I'm ready to say, let's go back to sudden. I'm ready to say, let's just go back to sudden death because we're doing too much. That's where I'm almost at with it. But I get it, huh?
what I don't understand is what is the problem? Like what? I never liked sudden death. I didn't because sudden death overtime for football, honestly, to me, in my opinion, is not as exciting as both teams getting in possession, right?
That's fair.
Because a team can get to the 40-yard line with a good kicker, kick a field goal, game over. That's not exciting.
I got you.
Okay. I like the fact that both teams get a possession. Um, I like personally, and people say, "Well, that's college." I like college overtime rules.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's exciting. It's climactic. It's suspenseful. Like I
I
don't
think
want to
it's
see my team start off from the 20, have to get all the way down. Give me something fun,
right.
and that's also part of the reason I like. And I know most people don't like it, and I do understand why. Why I like the Major League Baseball over or extra innings rule with putting a runner on second base.
Baseball's different.
I know
I
most people don't like it. I know most people don't, but I like it because it creates suspense. So it's like, what do you do with this guy on second base now? Do you bunt him over? Do you just try to hit him? Like, it creates a suspense. It also actually gives you a reason to bunt,
which they still
which
won't.
most people don't like to do anymore.
As Joey Gallo, he's still gonna swing for the fences. That prick.
Probably. He probably will. But I mean, why not add some? If you're going to do this, add some excitement to the game. I don't know what it is about the NFL that they want to. I
They,
don't know if they want to separate themselves from the college game because it's not college, but the college overtime is exciting.
this is all stemming from the one of the more worst coach games in the playoffs that I've seen. That it was that Buffalo Chiefs game
Mm-hmm.
when your quarterback literally led you to a touchdown, I believe, on almost every possession, and then you're winning the game and you play prevent defense. You literally let, with 13 seconds, you let the Chiefs literally run down the field on two plays. Now, is that the fault of the game or is that poor
Oh,
coaching? And then you go into overtime and you go back even further. That's I hate when bad coaching gets
they
rewarded.
wanted to avoid that over the top with Tariq Hill because they know they had nobody that could stop him.
So you
Right?
give them you give them 80 yards in front of you. it does
I know
it,
it's
it
crazy. It's stupid. It's stupid, but I guess
right.
what you want to do is you don't want Tyreek Hill to beat you with a big play. If he's going to beat you, I guess he's going to have to dink and dunk it to death. But Tyreek Hill beats you with a big play. Hell, if Tyreek Hill beats you with a big play, game over anyway. So,
Right.
um, but all in all, like the college, when I fell in love with the college overtime, it was 2006 maybe. Penn State, Florida State, Orange Bowl.
Oh wow. Okay.
Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno. They go into overtime and they just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and eventually Penn State ends up winning the game. But my eyes were glued to the screen. It was exciting. It was suspenseful. They have at one point you cannot go for a field goal anymore, or excuse me, extra point. You have to go for the 2 point conversion. So they in college they dwindle it down to a winner in a
Right.
sense. Dwindle it down to a winner.
Yeah.
Dwindle. I don't think dwindle is a word, but I made it up.
Dwindle is the correct word.
Dwindle it down to a winner. But we'll see. How do you feel about the new overtime rule? Like, with both teams getting a possession, you like the sudden death of the original overtime, but
I mean, I do. I think it's they're hearing the outcry from that Buffalo Bills game. Um, just like the Chiefs heard they're hearing the outcry when it happened to the Chiefs. Remember the Super Bowl after Brady lost. He made it to the AFC Championship game, and the Chiefs never got the ball back. He marched down the field and they scored, in overtime. So I get it. You want to give everybody a fair shot, but I just think like the Bills just should have stepped up and been more aggressive, and they they played scared. They played not to lose, and we always say, when you play not to lose, you lose. So
I always thought what they changed it to with if you score a touchdown, you win. If you don't, the other team gets the ball, and I always thought that was stupid. Honestly, I
right,
thought that was dumb. Like you got to keep them out. You keep them out of the end zone You have to keep him. Basically, you have to keep him out of the end zone to kind of. Anyway, I thought I'm good with the both teams get a possession. They're still only doing it in the playoffs, so I'm guessing they're keeping the old overtime rules for the regular season.
So what
Where
if what if they did this? Both teams get a possession, both teams score. Then after that, switch to college rules. So if I if
okay with that, I would be okay with that. But then I would say, well, why don't you just go with the college rules from the rip?
true.
Like, because that's more exciting anyway. Like, think about it. You're in overtime, right? Think about any overtime. Like, if you're watching a basketball game and it's in overtime,
Mhm.
every bucket matters at that
Right.
point, right? So when you're in overtime in football and you got to start at, let's say you're starting at the 20 from the 25, you have no chance. Well, I shouldn't say no chance, but chances are you're not winning from the 25. But if you move them to the other 25 and they got to get into the end zone, like that makes it a lot more exciting.
No, I agree. I
They're
agree.
close because when does football, when do you get to the edge of your seat in football? When they're in the red zone.
When they're in the red zone, yeah, you're right.
Start them 5 yards out of the red zone, and you figure it out from there.
Exactly.
It's built in excitement from the rip.
I was thinking about matching up with what hockey does because they have like a real quick 5 minute overtime, and then if they're still tied after that, then they go to a shootout.
Yeah, what would be the equivalent of a shootout for the NFL? What you think?
Go switch into college rules because you're closer to the
Oh,
25.
okay.
You dig what I'm saying? So it's
Okay.
like, kind of it makes everybody happy. So if you score, then the other team has, it's like desperation. They have to score, but then if they don't, they lose. But at least they got the extra opportunity. But then if both teams score and we're tied again, you don't have to worry about the potential for a tie. Now you go to the 25. You know what I mean?
Now, I'm not mad at that, but let me tell you why I'm not leaning that way. Because now you're running your team up and down the field another at least one more time or two more times up and down the field, as opposed to just putting them very close. And now your focus is really defense.
So
There's no drop back and prevent from the
right,
25.
right. No, no, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that was a dumb decision by the coach, but there's no dropping back there. It's all, you know,
Right. You
we
got
got
to
to
stop them. Right.
score. We got to stop. Um, that puts a lot of focus on the defense, and I do think taking a two possessions or whatever the case may be, um, like what you're saying. I lost my train of thought because I saw what you put up there. So I started thinking about it, even though I can't really tell, even though I can't really see it. I started thinking about it already, like who might it be
I
today?
got to stop doing that. I apologize.
But yeah. So that was that. Real quick, we'll talk about the Philly signings real quick. Schwarber and Castellanos. How are you feeling about that?
Well, they all hit home runs within their first day of being a part of the team, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. I know Ardot said it's the best outfield in the major leagues. However,
On paper.
on paper, I believe I will say that they would be the best hitting outfield, but Schwarber isn't exactly Willie Mays with the glove out there. And I personally thought that before they got Castellanos, I personally thought he was actually going to play more first base than outfield. But it sounds like between him, Harper, and Schwarber, they're going to be alternating at DH. Because Castellanos can play left or right field. I just want somebody to get rid of the take Hoskins' glove off and just hit. That's it. His glove is terrible.
Yeah, I probably have to agree with you on that. I would like to see him just be a DH. I probably would like to see Harper be a DH. He just got to focus on him. Nobody really. I mean, he doesn't. He's a good fielder, But nobody really pays attention to Bryce Harper for his fielding. It's all
But
about.
he's made some pretty. He's underrated, I think, as a
Oh,
defensive alpha. He's a little slow, but he's underrated, I think, because he made a couple plays. Remember in Colorado, it was a play to his right. He cut down real nice, got a nice little relay throw, one hop to the catcher, threw the runner out.
He can play the position.
And
But
same and same
turning on Bryce Harper to see his glove. They're turning him on to see his bat.
right, and even Castellanos, like he threw out somebody from the foul line in left field on a hot. So I would probably keep them in the outfield, have Schwarber as the first baseman, and Hoskins can just warm up and just swing.
Well, we'll see what they do with it. With that being said, I also hope that, from my own personal preference, I hope MLB The Show, Diamond Dynasty, I hope they have the DH there so I can stop making my pitchers hit.
Well,
Even though I
oh
hit
yeah,
pitchers.
that's right. They don't have it in Diamond Dynasty. I forgot that.
All right, so it's about that time. Oh, let me get something together for you too.
Why don't you go first this time?
You want me to go first? All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna mix them up.
I'd like to choose the 1978 Philadelphia Phillies.
That's not an option. So we got logos and mascots, seen on screen, baseball, football, all sports, which is like a plethora.
The answer is Dickie Thon.
Wow, Dickie Thon. What topic would you like? I'm gonna just start. I'm gonna start just pulling a topic for you. But
Well, let's go Jeopardy style. What are my choices?
logos and mascots, seen on screen, baseball, football, basketball, and I'm sure hockey's probably in here somewhere. And there's also sport, like all sports. So I don't know what could be in there. It could be a cricket question. I don't know.
Oh Jesus. Let's go. Seen on screen.
Right, seen on screen. That's here we go.
Get out of my comfort zone.
Now we have 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point questions. Which one would you like?
I'm not a betting guy, but I'll go 3.
So I lied. The scene on screen do not have 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point questions.
You do this to me every week.
I thought they did, but they don't. The other ones have 1, 2, and 3 point questions.
Damn it.
So I'll just ask you. Oh, it's too easy. This is too easy.
Is the answer Pedro Serrano?
No. Like I'm gonna have to ask you too, because this is too easy. Trust me, it's too easy.
All right, well, let's go baseball then. I didn't want to go baseball.
No, I'm gonna give you this, but I'm gonna give you 2 questions.
Okay.
Which 1992 movie includes the quote, "There's no crying in baseball"? Would you like your multiple choice options?
That's a league of their own.
See, I told you it's too easy.
Yeah, that was too easy.
I've said on multiple times I used to know every word to that movie. I used to watch it all the time.
Do you know who Tom Hanks was playing in that movie?
Do I remember the name?
No, not the name, but who he was actually.
The manager. I remember he was the manager. Yeah,
right. But he was emulating an actual Major League Baseball player who became a man. He was playing the character of a real. Huh?
Wasn't it Jim Fregosi?
No,
he wasn't playing Jim Fregosi, but wasn't he acting like Jim Fregosi or something like that?
No, well, I mean, he acted like Jim Fregosi, but he was representing a player from that era, or a former player from that era.
Give it to me. So
it was Jimmy Fox.
Jimmy Fox. I did know that. Doggone it.
See, go what you got, man.
Here's one that's a little more difficult.
Okay.
It's not hard, but when I look at if it wasn't multiple choice and I didn't have the answer in front of me, I might have struggled with it.
Okay.
A little bit. Which NBA Hall of Fame player did not appear alongside Michael Jordan in the 1996 movie Space Jam? Here are your choices.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I should have gave you this one first. Here, here are you. I get a little joy in stumping you because you always get me right. At least, no, I don't. I don't want to stump you. I actually want you to have to think about it. The first one was
Because
too.
when I was actually watching Space Jam, I was trying to get with this girl at the time.
So
This
you
is
wasn't paying
before marriage, and I was only watching it because she had her kid in the other room. So it's But go ahead.
All right.
I
Which
had
NBA,
priorities. I'm sorry.
which NBA Hall of Fame player did not appear alongside Michael Jordan in the 1996 movie Space Jam? Your options are Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, or Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley is incorrect.
Who was the other one? Not Larry. Larry Bird. I know was in it, right?
Larry Bird was in it.
So it was.
So
Yeah.
it's by default, it's Magic Johnson.
Right.
Magic Johnson was not in Space Jam. Now it's my turn to be Mr. Stumpaluffagus.
I'm gonna use that as my new handle.
Okay, so let's see. Cy Young Award winner, four-time All-Star, and the ERA title. And I have no chance of getting this. Number 65, number 34. Are those for the Braves?
All right. So this
I-
gentleman
Those
played for
those are for the Phillies.
The Cleveland Indians,
Okay.
the Philadelphia Phillies twice, Seattle Mariners, and the Texas Rangers.
Cliff Lee.
Whammo. And I think that I was debating on this because like a true Phillies fan would know the two numbers. He had 34 when he first started, and then he was traded and he came back with Roy Halladay, and then he was 33.
I denounced that statement. A true Phillies fan with no numbers because I had no idea what numbers, what jersey numbers.
That's right, because I could give you Ron Gant. You're like, I, I forget.
Was Ron Gant number 10?
No, he was number 5.
I was half right.
10 was
Or,
I think.
or was I double wrong? I was double wrong.
Yeah, you were double wrong. 10,
because
I think was
was 30. Like I couldn't remember what Ron Gant number was.
I think 10 was either Belliard or I think Charlie O'Brien. You're a third string catcher, the private catcher for Greg Maddox.
There you
I don't
go.
like I don't like pitchers that need private catchers. I think that says something about their ego. And
like if I'm not mistaken, Zach Wheeler had a was it Zach Wheeler? JT Realmuto did not catch for Zach Wheeler, correct?
no,
Those pitchers. It was one of the pitchers JT Realmuto did not catch for, and it was the backup. What Brad? What was the backup catcher's name? But it was every time he pitched, it was that catcher.
I think it was Rafael Marchand. I don't recall because no, I'm not. I'm gonna lie because the Mets game that we went to, it was Suarez that pitched, and it was Realmuto catching.
Yeah, I believe if I'm not I could be wrong. I could be very wrong, but I feel like there was one pitcher on the Phillies that did not have Real Muto catch for him, or just maybe they were giving Real Muto play a rest a week.
Could be, could have been.
But that's going to do it for the Check Swing podcast this week. I'm going to thank this week. I'm still tired. It's a rough day. I want to thank everybody. We want to thank everybody for checking us out this week. And of course, make sure you come back and check us out next week as we are going to bring you all the sports knowledge and opinions and all that we always give you every week right here on the Check Swing podcast. Now, for Miguel and myself, we'll talk to y'all next time. We out of here. Peace.